Hello, everybody, and welcome to another MyMusic. And today I've got Harry back, which is great. I always love a conversation with Harry. If you've never met Harry before, here he is in the flesh. And he's got a million stories to tell you and me and everybody about his life in general, really, and the kind of music he makes, which has got beautiful sounds in it and lots of great guitar riffs. We'll be back to talk about all of that straight after this.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
So how are you doing, sir? What have you been up to since I last spoke to you, which wasn't that long ago? So
No, well, the recording of our Reincarnation album is going from strength to strength, and I've had to get together 12 old tracks, and we are reincarnating them or reincarnating them so that they sound a bit more contemporary, but they still have that essence of the kind of noise we made in the 80s. So the songs are there, but we've sort of dubbed some of them up. We've created a sort of a rhythmic vibe to it that's different. We've used some sequences. We've got me singing on them when the old singer was singing on them. So there's that difference, and they're all a little bit different. We've even got one track that has the late Keith Levene playing guitar on it, which was one of the last things he did. So that'll be an interesting record to put out. He performed on Big Jugular, which is one of our records from the 80s. Gosh, yes, 1985 or something like that. And he performed on that for us. And so yes, it's the record is a collection of old vibe with new style. I don't know if that makes much sense.
yeah, is there a pervading theme in terms of the production? I mean, it's not as obvious as something like a mixed up album that the Cure did, where it was all kind of dance and whatever.
Well, there's elements of that. What we've done is that we've got Simon Ding Archer is our producer, and he did the lovely dub version on Opium Dub, which was on Ghost Mechanic 9, which is a beautiful job. So we thought we're going to get him to do more of that. So there are elements of that. I'm looking at the track list now, and we've got Jericho, which is very dubby. We've got Damnation, and what else have we got there? A Superior Spectre. And those are songs that that the fans and aficionados of our back catalogue will know that they were tracks quite slow. So we've kind of given this dub idea to it, but with Simon D. Archer on the controls, creating a very, very nice groove. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting album. We're not sure quite when it's going to be out. We need to wait and make sure the tracks sound absolutely wonderful. So yeah, but we're looking probably the end of this year.
Is there anything on there that's never been released before in any shape or form?
Let's have a think now. Superior. Oh no, that was released. No, I think all of it went out on some either a B-side or a Peel session or some kind of release, but they're not relatively available unless you can dig it out from Discogs or something like that and go and find an old vinyl copy. So yeah, if you want to hear it, it's not on a streaming platform. So in a way, it's not something that you can listen to, which is very exciting for us. It means that it's a fresh plateau of new material to a certain extent.
Yeah,
it's all been re-recorded, so yeah.
And then it suddenly gets on a streaming platform.
Well, yeah, I mean, you cannot avoid that. I mean, I've discovered that I've put records out, and somebody has immediately put it onto YouTube for me without even asking me.
Yeah.
Oh, the it's on YouTube, and I'm going, well, I mean, it's
that's Keith. He does that.
Oh, is that?
It is, yeah. I keep telling him to stop it, but he just does it. Yeah. Every single hour, he just sits there all day long. That's all he does. He just sits there. An album comes out, he pops it up on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
ridiculous habit.
He is one of many. If he does it, I'm sure other people do it.
There are many Keiths.
There are many Keiths. Yeah. Which I don't mind so much. I just hope that I mean, obviously, what would be nice if they could make more interesting visuals, but of course, they just have the album sleeve. But then again, that's actually quite a lot of work. If you've got something like a 40-minute album, finding visuals for 40 minutes is a great undertaking.
Saying though, I mean, if you're going to just be lazy with your content and just borrow someone else's and stick it up somewhere, and
well, people do that. Old.
You might as well put a bit of effort into it. I mean, it's when they can't even be bothered to like stick the album cover up there nicely, and it's kind of just like half of it or something, and you just think, come on,
Yeah,
could have at least got a decent photo, couldn't you?
Yeah. It's like they think they're doing you a favor, but in fact they're not.
Yeah, really, really not. I mean, yeah, if people, if you're out there and you are doing that, in all honesty, just be a bit more creative with it. Maybe a nice visualizer to go with the album. Put your own creative spin on it.
I hate to say it, but there are AI programs that will do thumb shots. Is that the word? Thumb shots, thumbnails? Yeah. Of that particular thing, and they will do that for you. I mean, obviously, be more creative and do your own, but there are many possibilities.
I would like to see people do chalk paint, sort of like chalk murals or big oil paintings to go with it. That would be nice.
My first introduction to art was getting bits of colored paper and sticking them in collage like onto another piece of paper. I remember that fondly when I must have been extremely young and short and could reach.
Well, I'm still doing it now.
Look at that. That's a beautiful piece of work there.
It's an incredible piece. In fact, you're in there as well. So
great.
That makes it even better, doesn't it, really?
The story's there, and then you can juxtapose and contextualize all these images. And before you know where you are, there's a whole narrative has appeared.
What is it like going back to your old material again? This is nothing like that, but I'll bring it up as a contemporary example so that we can, get the kids in on the conversation.
Of course.
But young Mr. Sheeran was on one of the American talk shows, which shall remain nameless, talking about one of his new songs that he's just releasing, which is about him finding his old phone. And he explains the story that he had to produce all of his devices for when he did the court case, the famous court case that he was involved with,
to prove that the date of transmission.
And he hasn't used a phone allegedly since 2015. He locked it away, and he's since just used an iPad with email. But he had to unlock his old phone and then take it to court. And as he unlocked it, this plethora of messages hit him, which was messages from friends of his who had died, and messages from ex-girlfriends, and arguments, and people, family members who have since, they've kind of lost touch with, and whatever, which kind of then stimulated these thoughts about, I should write a song about this. So what was it like actually sort of revisiting all of this?
Well, can I show you the equivalent of my phone?
Yeah.
which is this rather scruffy notebook with the original songs in.
Wow.
Let me just find. Oh, I've got college work there when I was at Manchester Polytechnic.
Still hasn't handed it in.
Well, no, in. And where's the book? Where's it gone? Where's all my? There we are. There's my song. So, one song I'm doing is Candy Mountain.
Yep.
You see, and as you see, written in my lovely, beautiful hand when I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
And there's a diary of going on tour. And so, in a way, this book, which has there's even a sticker, has the songs in, and I can put a date by it. Look, June 85. Sorry, written June 85, Harry S. So looking back on this is kind of my phone, but then again, of course, in 1985, this was probably the best you have for a phone, unless
I think you need to stick photos of that up somewhere with when the album goes out.
Well, you know, it's I've called it Harry S. Songs Inca, and then Words. That was about the
just in case you thought it wasn't.
Exactly.
You know.
So yeah, but looking through that book, because this is something I haven't looked at for a while, and that is the archive. So while opening this up isn't as dramatic as probably Ed Sheeran's phone, it's somewhat analog, shall we say. There's still a lot of memories there. I do remember writing out I probably wrote them on scraps of paper and then put it in there so that it looked vaguely like tidy, as opposed to lots of crossings out. So that was my way in there, and I did actually, because we were short of a track, and I thought, oh gosh, what can I do? And Candy Mountain, that one I just showed you, that was one of the songs, and I'm turning it into a kind of a techno
cool
Nitzer Ebb, but with a bit of Einstürzende Neubauten kind of feel to it. That's probably a terrible slight on those two wonderful bands, but I shall be doing my own spirit of that kind of style. I should be taking some of their spirit of and putting it in there. So yeah, you know, that's very much where we're at, and I did enjoy listening to an old Peel session of Superior Spectre, and listening to Candy Mountain, which is off of our second album. And I'm just looking to see there was one track I wanted to play, which is a song called KO Cowboy, which only ever appeared on a cassette, which was a compilation cassette, of which I don't have a copy, and I couldn't even play that song if I wanted, because I've looked through all my archive and stuff, and I think the only thing I've got it on is a 1/4-inch tape reel.
1/4-inch reel. Yeah,
exactly. But I don't have. I'd have to go and find someone who actually has a 1/4-inch,
a Euro or something to play it back on.
Yeah, and so sadly I can't actually listen to it. In my head, I know how it goes, and I can dance along, but I would need a bit more than that. But yeah, anyway, so lots of songs, and there's 12 in all. And as I say, you know, it's a wonderful experience, and very, very exciting to be part of it. And
well, you just taken me back anyway, because you talked about 1/4-inch tape. You see,
yeah.
I mean, when I first started journalism, I had a Ewer.
Oh right.
Yeah, and you know, for anyone that doesn't know what that's like, I mean, it's literally it would have a big leather strap. Yes, a Chinograph pencil. Fantastic.
A Chinograph pencil. Yes, and a razor blade, which yeah, have we got one? I haven't got one. No,
I always wanted to make a song called Chinograph Pencil and the Razor Blade.
Pencil. Yes,
that's a great title.
Make your marker, and then take it out, and then cut it, and then with a bit of tape.
Yeah, it had a slicing block, which was a little metal block, which had it had you could slice either straight or at an angle, like at 45 degree sort of angle.
And how many times did you make an edit, discard the bit of tape, and then go, oh no,
that was the bit of tape I needed,
and then have to go through, and you're rubbing it against the head, hoping you can make some sense of, is it back to front to start? Yeah. No, I'm with you. I've shared that.
I loved that visceral experience of editing. I thought it was great fun, and actually we had great fun with it at I did a festival one year, and we were doing some comedy writing with a friend of mine, John Holmes, who went on to write for like Radio 4 and various very naughty sort of radio comedies, TV comedies, and it was the year that U2 released Zooropa, the album after Uptown Baby, which had as the lead song on it was a song called Numb, which was sung by The Edge, and it just had this kind of really drony, monotonous beat to it. And so I ended up doing a spoof version of that on this Ewer by like literally taking the drum beat, creating a loop, putting the loop round, and then recording that with me singing "Dumb" over the top of it. It was great. But I just really enjoyed the fact that it could all go wrong at the last minute. The tape could split and all of those things. And I think young people that are coming in now into the digital age never touched any of these things. Go out and see if you can find some vintage machines. It's great. You know, there's something about forcing. I mean, maybe we can talk about that, but there's something about forcing you as a musician to just get it right.
Do you know there was a musician? Sadly, he passed away a couple of years ago, called Philip Jeck, and he would create these noise soundscapes by using record players.
Yep,
and he would deliberately make the record jump. So we and then he'd have a tape loop in it somewhere else, and another record playing something else, and he'd have a keyboard playing sort of noises and stuff, and it'd slowly bring up this soundscape of wonderful noises, and you had various people would do dancing to it and stuff like this. It was very much experimental. Philip Jeck. You'd hear him on sort of Radio 3 late at night.
Love it.
On some experimental noise program, but really good. But you don't hear or come across that kind of artist anymore who uses that old kind of technology, tape loops and record players and just things that generate noise, as you did with your Ewer, to create this lovely circular droning noise. Just brilliant, because of course the old copycats, the old WEM, what are they called? WEM, was it WEM or H&H copycats?
Copycat for the guitar and stuff.
Well, it would be a tape loop,
but you could do anything on it.
And you could do anything. We used to do crazy vocal things with it, but absolutely. And those things were great. And you'd have a big spool of tape that would all be sort of scrunched up. Around. And you had something like six heads. So you get what. Brilliant. What great technology.
It is. I just think I think it's the fragileness of it that I really enjoyed. Actually, the fact that it can go horribly wrong. I mean, it's not that things can't go wrong in modern day music making or performance, but it's less likely to, unless there's a power cut, and then it's complete disaster.
We are at the mercy of the grid, as it were. No, we are. And but then, if you can still play guitar, you can still entertain the audience, can't you? I suppose so. Guitar by candlelight is
something that's there. So when
medieval.
when you picked up the book and you were going back through all of these old lyrics, etc., were there? Did that bring back like flashes of like old relationships, old memories, and
It also, it's that thing that also when you are when was it, 80? So I would have been 20 or 21 when these were written. Right. You look at them and you go, oh dear.
Why did I write that?
Yeah, but then again, I think it's good. It's good. I think if you can't write daft and pretentious poetry when you're in your early 20s, then you never will. And I think it's very important that we are allowed, not so much allowed, but we simply do, right? Rather overblown and well, I'm not going to say pretentious, because at the moment it meant something, and at that particular part, that atmosphere.
That's interesting in itself, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
You're seeing how your perspective on the world changed. Yeah.
And also, I think I remember reading Paul Morley, not reading, listening to Paul Morley, who'd just written the David Bowie book after he died, and people were saying, "Oh, he's written his book; it's so pretentious." And he said, "Of course, it's pretentious. You can't not write about Bowie and not be pretentious, because the whole thing was about this larger than life character, and the whole point was to take the narrative into these far off worlds and bizarre experience, because David Bowie was the sort of person who kept changing himself. He was the Thin White Duke. He was Ziggy Stardust. He was all these different things. So how can I not be pretentious in writing this book about David Bowie?
Yeah, give me a boring subject. Give me Excel spreadsheets if you want boring.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I actually look at this and I think, yes, it's somewhat overblown and flowery and pretentious, but I think quite right too. I mean, who is going to judge at this late time in life, a bit late in the day? What's there is there. I'm sure some of our great romantic poets wrote some fairly terrible verse, but it's all about getting it out of your system.
I think there's a really interesting point there as well, though, because I think I do wonder with the way that a lot of younger musicians now come through into the industry and learning how to do stuff, right? Whether they actually do get permission to do that, because I think a lot of them will have their lyrics, for example, when they're young, critiqued and go, well, no, that's not good enough. We actually need it to be you to sound more mature than your age and whatever, because we need to do that. And I think that's a shame if that happens, actually, rather than people being allowed to write stuff.
Do you think there are too many critics that perhaps your work gets it's on a platform that has potentially got many readers or viewers, and people perhaps hold back a little bit because they're worried that somebody may misunderstand or misconstrue what they're trying to say, and be critical rather than be perhaps more forgiving, as you or I would perhaps.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I was actually writing about that on LinkedIn this morning, not within the context of music, but just in the context of what people post and how they then interact with each other on the material that they put out. I think there is unfortunately, I think there are too many people that won't walk into a conversation these days because they are scared of the perception of how they are seen within that conversation. And I think that's a shame, because they may have something really valuable to bring to the table. And if all we do is, when people maybe disagree with us or have a various opinion or whatever, we just block them or cancel them or just, if you like, clean our palette in front of us so that actually we can maintain our wonderful mental health and all of that. But the trouble is we end up in quite a big vacuumous state where we're literally only listening to things that we feel happy with, and that's not great. I think it's really great to have debate, conversation, actually struggle with things sometimes, and and have to say we're wrong as well. I think that's a really important part of developing as a human. But I don't think we're given the opportunity to necessarily do that these days.
Also, we don't get to hear enough material and music, etc., outside of our comfort zone, because algorithms send us down the same paths over and over again because they think they're doing us a favor.
Yeah. Oh, you like that? You'll love this.
Yes, you'll love this. Oh, if you like, and yes, to a certain extent, but it's funny actually because the algorithms are rather young and naive, and they send me they'll send me something like, I've listened to a piece of music, and they'll send me something. Oh, have you ever heard of the Velvet Underground? And I'm going, telling me about the Velvet Underground. I'll give them a listen. And so they're being helpful. It's lovely to be introduced to this new music, but
which you've heard of.
They don't really. It's not very helpful to someone perhaps who's longer in the tooth than their particular AI programs, which, while they are far more intelligent than I am, they don't have that sense of history.
It might come though. It might get there. I've got a feeling that we may see more interaction built into algorithms as we go along. I think that would be good. I think it would be good if some of these people that are in charge of these platforms actually started thinking, we could make this more intelligent. We could make this more intelligent. What we could do is we could try and engage with the brain of the person listening a little bit more and get more feedback as we go, so that we can actually improve this rather than just throw out the obvious. And that would be quite good as well. And it could be really great for artists as well if there were like better ways of artists getting proper feedback on their music on those platforms as well, not just like, I like that,
And also if it actually went and managed to search a lot of the artists who are in that field of music, who maybe only have a few listeners, a few streams, and you could introduce this, as opposed to going, oh well, they wouldn't possibly be interested in anything that hasn't got at least 500,000 listeners. Oh well, of course, if they got 500,000, then obviously it's interesting. Actually no. I mean, they don't understand about people who love music are interested in the furthest reaches, the furthest corner. They want to shine a light in those dark little corners where this music is being made, because they want to discover something. They want to hear something new, something that hasn't been sullied by playlists and millions and millions of listeners.
And do you know what the really funny thing about all of this is? It's not actually going to hurt the commercialism.
No,
because that artist probably doesn't want stardom, and that those fans probably don't want to follow someone that's a star, as it were. Do you know what I mean? They would but what it might do is it might enable that artist to at least create a sustainable fan base. And that's all an artist these days, unless you get signed for a major deal and whatever, that's all that an artist can possibly want is enough people to potentially buy all of their output.
It's when we were in the, I suppose, the late 70s, early 80s, and when me and my friends, we used to buy records to the nth degree. We had such vast record collections, still do, although I've lost some of them along the way. But anyway, if we bought a record that was quite obscure, we wanted that band to be forever totally obscure, and we were the only people who had this record. And then suddenly you read about them in the NME, that's you go, oh no, and then suddenly they'd be on tour, and you'd be going, no, and then suddenly they'd be big, and you'd go, damn, that was my band. I wanted them to never sell any records, only to me, and I wanted to have the only copy, which of course is an absurd situation to be in. But there was that sense of ownership to a certain extent. Probably a bit creepy these days, but at the same time, it was pure love as opposed to anything too destructive. I
I
think.
know. I used to love going to. I used to love going to record shops and finding stuff, or you know, car boot sales and finding stuff like that. What was the best ever album that you ever found that was that went into your collection that was either like very obscure or just like an absolute gem of something you found that like
Well, there was one record by a band called the Glaxo Babies, which from Bristol, and
wow.
I've since worked with Rob Chapman, who was the singer, and who's written some wonderful books about Syd Barrett and Nick forgotten his name, Nick Drake, and they had a record out, and it was fantastic, absolutely brilliant, and
Yeah.
And of course, they did that wonderful thing for me by splitting up, so they could never perform and they could never release another record. And I went, yes, they were brilliant. And there was another band called Chrome who were quite. I mean, these bands now are probably more sort of notable, but at the time they're really obscure. Oh gosh, there were probably lots of others, which of course escaped me. There were some American bands and things, but no, we would go out and we'd find these obscure records, of which there were probably loads of people had them, but to us,
Yeah.
we were the only people who owned these wonderful records, and we'd play them, thinking we were in this little bubble, that we were the only people getting the benefit of this glorious music.
I love finding those finds. I think I've the two that kind of spring to mind for me was I found at I think it was a car boot sale. I found a white labeled version of the first Vinegar Joe album. With Elkie Brooks and Robert Palmer singing, which was absolutely fantastic. Real bluesy affair. You know, that was wonderful. And then I think from sort of my Sunderland uni days, I think one of the best albums I came across, which was very different, was Miranda Sex Garden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, do you remember them?
I do. I'll tell you for why. Because I used to do a program at the BBC, late night program called Meltdown, and Alison Martin was the presenter, but she also had a promo company called Red Alert, and I think Miranda Sex Garden were on mute, and she was a plugger for Mute in Manchester.
Yeah.
And so we actually had copies of Miranda Sex Garden, and we would play it because obviously we wanted to plug Mute, and we used to give copies away, although they were never that popular.
No.
Even though they were plugged, and we played our records, they never really took off. So yeah, if you've still got that copy, I imagine it's. I don't think they were ever repressed or anything. So yeah.
No, absolutely. It's wonderful, isn't it? It's wonderful going and discovering music. What a great thing that you've done. Going back into the archives and pulling this all out. So when do you think it will be expected to hit the light of day? Will we get it this side of Christmas or?
Oh yeah. I mean, all the recording is about to be. Well, no, I say about in the next month or so. All the recording will be done. Then it's a case of mixing. Because what we do is we mix it and then we sit on it for a month, listening back to it, and then go back and tweak all the little things that irk us.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'll have it, and then we'll sit on it for a bit longer, and sort of get a bit sort of play.
At that stage, do you play it to other people?
Yeah, that's it. Let me play it out, and so there's a little sort of people talking about it, going, "Oh, this is coming out." So you want to look out for that, and then. It'll probably be a digital release, unless somebody comes along and wants to put it out on vinyl or CD. So it'll probably be a digital. But because it's the nature of music is that it doesn't really, it doesn't so much have a release date these days, in that it hovers around, and people come to it and discover it and leave it and then come back to it. That's why I quite like about the album, as it were, in that, whereas television is often comes and goes and is completely forgotten, whereas records, you can revisit them, and they don't grow too old, and the repeat playing of them, actually they get better.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to take that clip and play that clip to my wife. But so she completely understands why I have to have all of these physical copies of things.
Oh yeah,
and you can do that at home if you're in a similar situation where occasionally you get to, why have you got cupboards full of those things? It's purely because of that. As I've tried to explain to her, you read your book, you throw your book away because you've read that story and whatever. But with music, it's completely different. You might leave it for 5 months, come back to it, and it just is completely new again. It's like a fresh fountain of ideas.
Many times it's happened to me, and that is the absolute wonder and beauty of especially having a collection of things that you liked once, and as you'll absolutely like them again later on.
Albeit for a very different reason.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that it is because you've moved on and you've heard other things on the way, and you'll remember the time then, and that'll be perspective, and you'll think, and something will happen. It'll be very exciting.
It is, and it's always exciting talking to you. Thanks, Harry, for coming along today and talking about it. Has this collection? We got a name for the collection?
The collection, yes, it's Reincarnation.
There you go.
As in reincarnation.
You did tell me that right at the start, but because I'm getting old now, I've forgotten by the time we get to here. So but besides, it's really good to tell people so that they leave today coming off with that. So, folks, do get in touch with Harry on the socials. Start giving him a follow, and do check out. This is the latest Inca Babies album, Ghost Mechanic 9, which is fantastic. And wait for the reincarnation to happen as well, because that sounds fantastic as well. As always, Harry, pleasure speaking to you. And thanks for listening, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been MyMusic. You can also catch up with this at mymusicpodcast.com, where you can also join the community. And I'm pleased to say people are actually starting to do that in their droves, which is marvelous. So if you want to come and join a music community, talk to musicians who I'm inviting into the community as well, please do. It's a wonderful way to spread the love of music in a particular place. And that's always very welcome. We'll be back soon. More the same. Until then, bye for now.
Cheers, Graham.